Hi, this is JC with LDS Liberty, and you're watching LCL Report, the other white meat.
I fund my reports by selling liberty-oriented jewelry, but I also sell custom work for things like charities or religious items, to even a pearl line. Take a look at my entire collection at lclreport.com. Thanks. Hi, this is Taryn Lupo, and welcome to Low Country Liberty Report, or LCL Report. Today I'm going to be talking to you about Mormons. Now, I'm not Mormon, and I don't pretend to know much about Mormons, but what I'm actually going to talk to you is more about their history with the government. Now, I'm going to take that, and I'd like to juxtapose it with what's going on today with liberty movements. The Mormons have a long history of persecution from the government. Mostly local governments would get fearful of these growing towns. The Mormons were very successful at what they were doing, and they would move into a town, have their own land, their own private roads, their own works basically for this entire town, and the people from the outside would fear them, eventually grow violent and attack them. It got so bad that they would use their local government, especially like in Missouri. They were actually passing laws where you could steal Mormons' property and take it, and you were legally allowed to use violence against Mormons and chase them out of the state. It was so bad that they actually killed, I believe that's how Joseph Smith got killed. Their prophet was a non-Mormon attack. Now, what happened and what they were very, very successful at was mass migration to one area. Now, there's a religious component that's very important, but there's also a political component that doesn't get talked about much. That they were so persecuted from the government, they wanted to move to a place where they could be left alone and escape the government. And that place, of course, most of you guys know, is Utah. When they get to Utah, they put a call out for all Mormons to go to Utah, and they're very, very successful in a short period of growing their religion and getting everybody to move to one place. Now, take that to modern day. Their most successful movement like that is political based and not religious based, is something called the Free State Project. The Free State Project is a group of people who love liberty that all have agreed to move to one area to try to reduce government down to the size where its maximum role is, life, liberty, and protection of property. And that's it. You'll find people from all walks of life and gambits going to the Free State Project, people that just want little bits of government, all the way to people that don't want any government and just want to be left alone. But they realize they're much more effective in one area. So, to get some advice to the liberty community, I decided to sit down with the only pro-liberty Mormon show I know of, which is a podcast you can download called LDS Liberty. And their host is JC. So here's that interview. This is JC with ldsliberty.org. And I'm going to interview him about Mormons. And it's my understanding, because I'm not a Mormon, originally Mormons had to move to Utah because they were being persecuted basically by the government, if my understanding is right. Could you expand on that?
Yes, when they first started in the 1830s, they were basically driven from state to state because when they moved into a county, people didn't like how they tended to trade with each other and do business only with each other, marry only each other, and change the politics of the town.
And why did the Porcupine movement is all trying to move to one area, and then when you look back in history, the Mormons are probably the most successful group that's ever done that. What things could the Porcupines learn from the Mormons?
Well, one thing that the Mormons learned was that when they moved to an area and they were ejected, it was because sometimes politics changed when they moved, and people didn't want to have their politics turned into Mormon politics. So I think what Porcupines need to understand is when we move into an area and change the politics, that we're doing it to make our neighbors free. And Mormons were very insular when they moved into communities, and I think Porcupines need to be the opposite. When they move into New Hampshire communities, they need to reach out and they need to show people that they are normal, that they can be community partners. So a different approach needs to be taken so that porcupines hopefully aren't ejected from New Hampshire, heaven forbid, right?
And you do basically you do radio on this topic. How can people find your radio?
I have a podcast at ldsliberty.org. It's basically focused on helping Mormons understand that they really need to be libertarians. If you're a Mormon, then you promise to be libertarian by default, in effect.
Explain that a little better. Why do Mormons, why would they want to embrace liberty?
Well, we have a particular belief that's only common to Mormonism, really, that before we came to Earth, there was a war in heaven. Satan wanted to control people and not give them liberty. And the other side, the good side, led by Jesus Christ, wanted people to be able to choose. And so if you're a Mormon and you understand this, then you are automatically going to defend people's right to choose what they want to do with their own lives. And you're not going to force people to be good. You're going to help them be good, but if they don't want to be good, then there's nothing you can do. All you can do is be a good example to other people.
Yeah, that's one thing I think the religious community really needs to take heart is, you know, if you want people to leave you alone so you can practice the religion you want, you have to leave them alone.
Right.
I mean, you know, that's the cost of freedom.
It's a two-way street. And if people want to be free to practice their own religions, however weird or strange even, then you need to be defenders of their liberties as well. And I think Mormons need to step up more and do that. Just like any other religious people. Religious people do have gripes about religious people, and I'm here to basically say that you can be religious and you can love liberty at the same time, and religious people can be great neighbors.
Thanks. I think this is a very important point, is I don't quite understand why the religious community in a whole has not really embraced liberty like I would think they would be leading the charge in all this. Nothing, I think, would be more offensive than to have my religion dictated to me by politicians. I would think you would want the government completely out of your religion. And so many times throughout history, people have tried to escape a government so they can practice religion freely. We still have a fight in this country because the government's constantly involved, and it's really a time to evolve past this. What I mean by that is, you see, government's the real problem. When you have an institute where you can use force and turn it on your neighbor and take what they want or tell them how they have to live their life, that's a very dangerous weapon. And what will happen is one group will get it, they'll persecute another group, the group that's persecuted eventually gets irritated, rises up, takes the power, turns around, and then persecutes the original group. This is the cycle of history. You're just using, whoever's in charge of government is going to use it against their enemies and reward their friends. I think we really need to get past and remove government out of the picture. It's the only way to break this cycle. What I mean by that is obviously reduce it down to a small size, but really I don't see a place for government at all in religion. And like I said earlier, that's the price of freedom. Even if you think the person down the street's doing some crazy religion that you don't want anything to do with, or you might even find offensive, you have to leave them alone if you want to be respected in your religion and beliefs. As always, this is Terry and Lupo. Good hunting. This episode at LCL Report brought to you by StashYourSwag.com. This amazing ebook will give you over 100 ideas and secret hiding places all around